The light is shifting, and the great awakening is happening in many ways. Try not to be confused by stress or conflicts rising in moments, situations, emotions, or thoughts. They are all leading to one single place, letting go of what is old and birthing forward the tender new shoots of the soul, rising up in the midst of a field that is still covered in the dead roots and the leaves from the time before, perhaps even hiding in the snow. Listen to the desire of your heart to know that all is well as a reality of life. To know there are no obstacles too great to be walked through by light, love, and truth. This is one of the great meanings of being human, exercising a spiritual muscle of clarity that shines beautifully and vibrantly on the infinite possibilities of the truth of the heart and the extraordinary reality of who you are. Do not fear anything that you are experiencing at this time. You are in a revolution of love. Remember these words and believe no other truth. Love is always loving you forward. All valleys of the shadows will be accompanied by a shining light with this truth in your heart. The heart is the mediator between heaven and earth. The cosmic eye provides the vision of new possibilities. Yet the heart is the one who irons out the differences, clears up the conflicts, and eventually awakens a whole new path of reality. Stay in your heart. Invite the light and love the shadow, for the shadow is simply the light. Without its direct vibrance, shadow cannot exist. Without light, it is a manifestation of light. And it deserves your full love. There is no other way to harmonize the soul. Feel deep into your being. Shine light into your shadow. Know its truth and let it know that you see it and that you love it and that you are reaching a hand for whatever it needs so that it may once again stand in the vibrance. Being human is a dance between the light and the shadow. Being love is a communion with something that is mysteriously beyond both. everybody. I'm Anandazini Shakti. Welcome to Quantum Awakening and Love Power of the Band. Today we're going to look at the angelic transmission for this winter solstice and this whole time that we're in right now. I am a conscious trance channel. It's probably the best way to say it, or an intuitive or an attuner. And I've been in this place of service for 22, 23 years, I don't know more than that, about 23, 24 years, receiving from the angels on behalf of the collective, like what we're looking at today, and also on very deep personal levels, taking people through very deep clearing process with their karmic patterns and with their understanding of life and who they are here. The angelic realm hold a very lofty perspective. And what I always like to say about the angelic realm is that they have no agenda except for the liberation of the being, the experience where the person aligns themselves with the source frequency, whatever that may be, and they are no longer in the vibration of fear, but they're fully in the vibration of love. And so they always bring us into the highest perception of what's going on in terms of our, showing us how to unwind ourselves from the limited perspectives that come from our identification with a greater density dimensions. Like 3D is quite dense. They're not living in 3D, so they can see things from a different perspective. They can help us see how to move things in a way that is advantageous for the healing of our hearts and for the awakening of our souls. And then, of course, it's all about landing in new earth and bringing this forward in a way that is the most graceful, most beautiful. So solstice, winter solstice, as we know, is the day where we have the least amount of light. And it's so profound. It's leading up to it and even coming out of it is such a time of things moving, things churning, because we start to reach into that which we have not been seeing, that which has been hidden. And we often call this the shadow. So there's a lot here about understanding the real relationship with the shadow, so that it becomes a very functional, very beautiful experience for us. So first of all, we're starting off by saying the Great Awakening is happening in many ways. The main message that they put forward is like, don't be confused anymore. One of the big pains that I personally experience and that I experience in all of my clients is this confusion about why something is happening. Getting caught in the actual playing in the game, in the story, getting caught in the story. It's not happening so that the story can be resolved. The story happens, the resolution of the story happens naturally. The resolution of the stories happen naturally as a byproduct of the digestion of the experience that the source frequency is bringing to you. So this is a time to really come out of the confusion, come out of any idea that things are going wrong for you, that you're getting hard knocks, that you don't deserve, or anything like that. Understand that any moment that feels difficult, because those are the ones that we react to, aren't they? That it is part of this awakening that's going on. So just like, oh, wow, fantastic. Here's another awakening. What is source communicating with me right now? Take it out of the other players. What is source communicating with me right now? That all of these stressed or conflicted moments that are arising, whether it's actions, emotions, or just thoughts that are going on in your head, there's nothing wrong. They are all leading to one single place, and that is the letting go of what is old and the birthing forward of what is new. And they describe this in such a beautiful way, using this winter theme, like tender shoots of the soul that are rising up in the midst of a field that is still covered with dead roots and leaves. We've all seen this, as spring starts to come, and perhaps even being hidden in the snow. So we know, if you live in a climate that has snow, we know that underneath the snow, underneath the ground, there's things going on underneath there. things are preparing for the next stage of the rising, of the blossoming, of the awakening. This is what's going on with us right now. It's that we are like these tender shoots of the soul. And so they're saying, and this is so deeply relevant, listen to the desire of your heart to know that all is well. And this is the main piece, as a reality of life. So it's not to know that all is well because we just can't bear what's going on, and that gives us a break from it. No problem. Whatever works at the times when we need them. But what they're saying is we want to hold all is well as our reality of life. So getting out of the fluctuations of it. Really, there's something terrible happening, really, that this evolution to new earth is not happening, getting out of any kind of conditioned belief system that the shadows that we are personally experiencing and seeing in the collective right now, that they are not part of the light, that they are somehow a problem, and that they do not lead to our awakening or unwinding. This is an old conditioning. This is old paradigm belief system about shadow and light. And so, and also because there's a lot of despair happening from outside experiences, but also when we have been living in a reality that has been dualistic in its nature for so many centuries. We have deep down in ourselves, whether we recognize it or not, whether we like it or not, we have a sense of hopelessness and despair because we have experienced ourselves separated from the very source of reality that is our truth. And that creates despair. And so we need to rewrite those cells, and we need to reprogram our understanding that there are no obstacles. There is nothing that is too great to be walked through by light, love, and truth. Light, love, and truth override everything. Love is always on your side. Love is always loving you forward. And this is a very big truth that we need to hold on to. Love has, in fact, already won. And I say this a little bit with some trepidation because it can be misunderstood. Doesn't mean we don't have to take action. It doesn't mean we don't need to take actions that are leading towards more love during this great change. But the reality is love has already won. And when we can, because it is the commanding force of everything. So when we can feel that in our hearts, then we can move through the difficulties that rise or the easy things that rise with so much more grace, with a confidence, with, just like a sense of, okay, love is already won. And here a child is being badly hurt, and I am going to help this child. The vibration in which we do this is a completely different vibration than when we are coming from a fear-based, oh my God, what's going to happen? And, what's going to finally win and all this? And it's just any of this worth it? And any of it makes sense? And I'm just like desperately trying to save something. It's a totally different vibration. And what it creates in the alchemy of the outcome is totally different. And of course, it's completely understandable to have those fear experiences. We all have them, but we're here to work ourselves through them, to become conscious of them, and to work ourselves through them, to see where we have lost our connection to source and lost our belief in love and the light that we are. And so they say, like, this is, one of the great meanings of being human is to exercise this spiritual muscle of clarity. And I love this, that really spirituality, it is like a muscle that we need to build it. It starts off little and then, and many times people say, yeah, but I just don't feel it. I can't feel it. I'm just feeling like this. But, if you go into the gym, you might be asked to lift something up that you can't lift. But if you never try to lift it, it's never going to happen. So not being able to feel it, we have to understand that like a muscle. We have to go, okay, I can't feel it yet. So I make the first step towards it. Oh, the first step towards it didn't change that. I still feel like I can't move, can't feel it. Well, I make the next step. I keep on trying to lift it. Eventually, I'm going to lift it. Eventually, I am going to feel it. Eventually, the spiritual muscle of clarity is going to be so strong, and it will shine vibrantly on the infinite possibilities of the truth of our heart, and even more importantly, on the extraordinary reality of who you are. This is what this shift is all about, is coming out of the very unextraordinary reality of who we believed ourselves to be into the extraordinary reality of who we are. Yes, now, do not fear anything that you're experiencing at this time. Respond to it. I'm always a little iffy, I'm not saying walk around like in some kind of crazy state of just detachment that is dissociation. Respond to everything that's going on, but don't fear it. Understand it's happening because you are in a revolution of love. This is the truth. And it says, remember these words and believe no other truth, which means do not believe there's something wrong with you, or there's something wrong with another person, or there's something wrong with something's happening. We have to understand that love is always loving us forward. Everything that's happening has a meaningful purpose, and we can ride that all the way, because we need to come through the valley of the shadows. And if we go through this valley of the shadows within our own being, or in how we perceive other things going on, knowing that love is loving us forward through it. It's like, you decide, like, your child has been frightened of the dark and it's time for them not to have to be frightened anymore. So you're just going to take them for a little walk through the dark so they can actually feel by the end of it that it was okay. It was okay. Everything was okay. And that's like what creation, source energy is doing for us. And so we keep this truth in our heart. This is the way that we move through everything. We understand that everything is part of the light bringing us forward. And to really just stay in our heart these days. Invite the light and love the shadow. The shadow is simply the light, without its direct vibrance, it cannot exist. Shadow needs light to exist. So just boom, that's it. It's a scientific truth. The shadow is part of the light, and we need to love it. And we need to give it our full love. There's no other way we can harmonize our soul, because our soul is composed of both of these things, and they move in this evolutionary experience. When we get into New Earth, perhaps we're not going to be taking the shadow with us. We're certainly not taking that shadow with us. Maybe there'll be no shadow. I don't really know for sure yet. That's a good question to ask next for the angels. But what we need to deal with is what's real right here, right now. We still have this manifesting, and we're becoming masters of it. And the mastery of becoming of the shadow and the light that humanity is cultivating is actually the thing that makes Earth so attractive to the other realms, because they don't have that mastery, and it's a powerful mastery. You can do this, you can do anything, that kind of idea. And we're all doing it. Sooner or later, we're all doing it. So feel deep into the shadow, shine your light into it, and know its truth, meaning let it tell you what it's got to say, and let it know that you see it and that you love it, and that you're reaching that hand forward and to find out whatever it needs so that it once again can stand with the vibrance. Being human is the stance between the light and the shadow. It's really important. So we just want to see it. We don't want to have to be shamed of it. We don't need to have to lie about it. We just see it. We see its truth. We let it know that we see it. We let it know that we love it. It's very important that, okay, I love you. That softens the whole thing. When we can soften our frequency, then we can ascend past it. If we tighten up, okay, there you are, and we're purifying you and we're clearing you, well, it's really iffy. And even if it happens, it's probably going to go back down again, because it hasn't actually been invited into love. And when something hasn't been invited into love, then Its existence is transitory. Love is the eternal existence. So being human is this dance between the light and the shadow. Being love in this great L, the big L love, is a communion with something that is mysteriously beyond both. And they were very, very specific with this mysteriously word. Don't try to figure it out. Let your heart commune with the mystery. The mystery is beautiful, and it's part of who you are, a very deep, very vibrant, very beautiful part of who you are. And love with the capital L, the love that is oneness, is a communion, and it's a mysterious communion that is beyond both shadow and light. I hope that this helps you. I hope that it serves your wholeness and the reabsorption, the shadow, and the communion, deeper communion with love, and a beautiful solstice for you. Please like, please share, please subscribe. It really does help. And please contact me if you want to do any personal one-on-one work to find out what your core karmic pattern is. We go into the Akashic records to see the Akashic records are a vast library, but all of those different experiences are are growing forward from one particular seed. What the angelic realm do is that they show us what the one seed is. And this is the seed that is creating that sense of separation and suffering and creating so many different stories and experiences. And then they assist us in rewriting it in the non-genetic part of the DNA so that we're upgrading the DNA and we start to understand ourselves beyond the human being and into the heaven and earth being. So I welcome you to this journey. So much love and blessed solstice.